When I was a boy, the spirit world terrified and tortured me, taking my rest and innocence in one fell swoop at the age of 5 in Wales. I survived but was forever changed. Now, years later, after nearly losing my sight, I've decided to leave the shadows. People around the world now know these things they previously could dismiss are real and have, with a complete lack of common sense, decided to brave the dangers of the spiritual realm, a stunt akin to dancing in traffic with a blindfold on. Reassembling an old team with my gifted childhood friend, we seek to train a new generation of folks to assist us in reaching around the globe to the fires that have been started by the careless, the foolish, and the utterly incompetent. Please welcome Joel, healer and gifted shaman, Sonia, Wiccan and gifted woman of talent, and Aisha, who seeks to regain her vision she was convinced to cast aside and has thus far been regaining lost ground. Today's episode. In its many-year history, the Ghost Adventures series has provided us with material that has opened the conversation with those who believe and disbelieve alike, expanding the dialogue to a degree never before experienced in at least my lifetime. Agree or disagree, believe or disbelieve, like or hate, this conversation is now no longer merely for fireside chats with a bit of alcohol to loosen tongues and compel folks to drag out stories from relations and old books alike. And as with any genie set free from their container, there is no stopping it now. This conversation has grown to the point where Zach and his boys are now tagging along with supernatural specialists and exorcists, allowing you to see what we once did behind closed doors and out of sight. Because of this, we have been reviewing the episodes and giving our best critiques to add to the narrative the boys want to make. One of not only better perspectives from those with abilities and firsthand knowledge of the occult and the supernatural, but also as viewers. Long before I attempted to find out if I can use my abilities through the TV medium and learning my limits as my vision diminished, I was watching just for fun, like all of you. As have been my companions. It actually helped to bring the narrative to TV, YouTube, Vimeo, Dailymotion, and more. Because of this, folks like us can climb out of the shadows and at last reach out to assist the world without facing so much negative pushback that it removes any drive to help in favor of avoiding injury or threats. To that end, we have crafted these top 10 recommendations for the Ghost Adventures crew. The hardest part, you might not believe, is finding only 10. Without further ado, let us unveil the recommendations, starting at number 10. Number 10, don't lock people in against their will anywhere, including Aaron. The reasons for this is simple on the surface and more difficult to explain to those of you without second sight. To a gifted person, being locked in with a metaphysical being is akin to being thrown into a jail cell with an unknown prisoner. And if you can see them, not just feel them, it's hard to describe the terror, the horror, and the potential for harm. When I was a little boy, this was a favorite trick of my siblings, and they reveled in hearing me battle to escape. They loved hearing me plead, not just with them, but with the ghosts that took interest in me. One particular castle turret I was locked onto the top level of still gives me a twitch. Just seeing crenellated towers in a particular color of stone gives me flashbacks. The number of closets and darkened rooms I was shoved into and watched as things slithered along ceilings and floors or crouched in the corner and looked at me from beneath red-rimmed lids with hate and sharpened teeth revealed as puckered lips curled back over them. No, folks, it's not a blessing to always know what hides in the shadows. Even as an adult, I deal with post-traumatic stress disorder when I see movies or images that remind me of these events that I went through as a child. What will you all think if and when someone suddenly has a moment of clarity and the hidden is revealed to them in a locked encounter that they cannot escape, and the terror is all caught, one-sided of course, on a static night vision camera? What happens if one of them dies trying to escape, if escape means leaping from a high window or into an elevator shaft?
Number 9, stop giving advice you don't follow yourself. We've all heard them say a few times, don't be scared or don't run. Granted, these things, we understand that some entities can feed off of emotions like fear. So if you're already afraid to go into the place, you shouldn't be there in the first place. This will alleviate the stop running and the stop don't be scared, all of which we've seen the Ghost Adventure crew fall victim to.
Number 8. Bring more folk on who are gifted. The world has been opened to another dimension that allows those of us who are gifted to get more respect without being told and treated like we are crazy. Our gifts and skills are needed more now than ever before. So, my advice for anyone who plans to attempt to wake others up to the belief of the unseen for the purpose of keeping them safe is to show proof by bringing others around you who has the skills you need to help prove your point.
Number 7, doing more collaborations in the United Kingdom. Long before paranormal shows became hits on American TV, we had many shows of this type. All seems to have started with Haunted in 1967 and moved on to others, including Most Haunted in 2002 and still ongoing. Just like the Desert Sand, we are not likely to see a death in this anytime soon. A crossover can only increase the credibility of the American shows. Zach says he has worked years to attain this, making the UK shows popular at the same time.
Number 6. Please, for the love of heaven, shut up! Truly.
Excuse me, I'm trying to conduct a wedding here which has nothing to do with love. Please be quiet.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry, be quiet.
I'm sorry.
So many times throughout all the episodes, one common thing occurs that vexes me so badly, I want to cattle prod the cast into silence. One of the cast will hear something and ask, "Did you hear that?" Or Aaron's famous, "Whoa," so loudly you have no clue what he is doing his Neo impressions for. And this includes the damn SB7 spirit box, which makes a noise so loudly that we cannot hear what comes through it, nor can the cast. They have to go and analyze the sounds and fight over what they think it said, clear up the signal, etc. Or worst of all, a sound comes through the normal camera and we can hear it, but they talk about it or are talking as it happens because they cannot simply pause between questions. They ask so rapid fire with the questions, you'd think they were interviewing some tabloid about a scandal and want to put up the ghost on the spot like a famous actress caught cheating on her husband. Just stop. Silence is golden and is one of the requirements for learning. This leads back to the last recommendation because the UK shows have no trouble with shutting the hell up and listening. And even better, they don't run for their lives if they hear something supposedly scary to them. Knuckle down, boys. Shut up, listen, sit still, gather the evidence.
Number 5, please, oh dear God, please, learn about a stabilizer for your camera. Stop moving the damn thing around and jerking about right when you get ready to see what's going on the camera. I know you don't realize this because you're there and you can feel it or hear it. But before you can get it caught on camera, you move it around. It's like watching somebody tape something with their cell phone and they want you to get something. And it's like, well, I can't see a damn thing because you keep moving the sucker around. Or let's face it, how many of us like Blair Witch? Show of hands. Those who didn't raise your hand, what was it? It was a crappy ass camera footage where it was like the camera was bopping around and it was disorientating. And yes, I know that's a real thing, but please, you're supposed to be professionals. You're supposed to be used to this. You're looking to try to catch this stuff on camera, but you can't. You're moving around all the time when something happens. Stop. Don't get scared. Keep the camera in place.
Number 4, don't assume the cause of things place is always due to devil worshippers, and learn your trade. The reason this is important is to learn to stop judging the things we feel has gone wrong in the world to one group of people or one action or an incident that someone has gone through in life. If you ever remember being able to see, feel, or talk to anything that others tell you they do not see, hear, or feel, you are gifted, but for some reason you lost your gift. We are the very first group and only group right now you will ever find online who is attempting to help those who are gifted to strengthen and control their gifts. The changes in the world has made our skills the most needed commodity in the world today.
Number 3, gather evidence and stop stirring the narrative. All too often, Zach brings people on to interview. Then he begins his spin. He pushes and pushes the story or image that what they are facing is something dangerous or demonic. More important than previously believed. Outright changing the story from something kind and warning to twisting it into something deadly. From Annabelle's curse to the Pythian castle, there are endless examples. It is disrespectful, leave their words intact.
Number 2, respect the psychics and practitioners you bring on. Not everyone is going to agree with Zach. That's just a fact. And actual psychics that are skilled, experienced, and vetted will have their own ideas with facts to back them up. Disparaging them because you disagree or want to create the narrative as Sonia just described above is even more disrespectful when you bring in an actual psychic and act like your machines are more reliable than we are. We have been honing our abilities. We can aim them, ferret out information better, and gather data that you have not yet invented machines to try and gather. The reason I am gathering a team of gifted folk is because there is nothing like firsthand evidence and the muscle to protect your group at the same time.
And the top thing, it's not the devil, mama. Please, Zach. Please, Zach. It's not always the devil.
Sid, you must got the devil in you!
Things happen. There's all kinds of stuff that aren't explained. All kinds of corporal beings, all kinds of spirits, elementals, helpers, spirit guides, plethora of non-corporal things going out there. It is not always the devil. Okay, maybe once or twice, but not always. I'm just saying.
We want to thank you all for watching our first fully scripted show. Thank you all for your patronage. And if you like what you see, please comment and subscribe. It really does help. And if you think this would help people, please share our show with friends on other social media. And if you really, really liked what you have seen so far, please consider giving through Patreon. It's not too early to be our first patron.